All right, are we live? Just about? Looks like we are live. All right. So welcome to the live stream. Today we're going over an arms and shoulder workout using resistance bands. Now I really like resistance bands because they are an inexpensive option to start, especially. If you look at some of the equipment behind me, a lot more of this is very expensive and it's really not necessary to start your resistance training work. And I think it's so important that everyone is doing resistance training. It's so good for your muscles, it's good for your bones. It helps you live a long, happy life because you can move and aren't limited by your own body. So I really want to encourage you to start resistance training. And if getting a set of resistance bands like these is only about the same cost as a month of a gym membership, so it's a great option because you have it and it stays with you. You don't have to keep on buying them and paying for that subscription. So I really like resistance band exercises. I'm going to be showing you a couple for the arms and shoulders today. So I'm going to be doing these exercises. You're welcome to do them with me. Or if you have questions or just want to hang out and talk, that's totally fine too. But I want to help make this I want to take barriers from people to make it so it's easier to get into the gym or into a home workout, whatever works for you, so you can be happy and healthy. So if you're wanting to do that with me, that's great. If you want to just hang out and talk, that's fine too. So today we're going to be doing arm exercises first, and then we'll do some for the shoulder. So we're going to be working the tricep and bicep muscles. And I like to do what's called a superset, where we do one side, which is the bicep, and then the tricep next. So I'll show these as a pair. So first though, I'm going to warm up with a little bit lighter of a band. So what I like doing is starting out with the same exercises, just as at a lighter weight, so that some blood flow can go into the muscles, the joints get lubricated, and it actually reduces the risk of having something go wrong, gets you more acclimated into that exercise. So the first exercise is going to be for the triceps, which run in the back of the arm. They go from the shoulder down into the back of the elbow. And this is called a standing skull crusher. There's probably other names for it. Let me know in the comments if you have heard another name for this exercise. So I want this to be right about eye level, or maybe a little bit lower, right about throat level, because I want my hands to be right behind my ears. So I'm going to tuck my elbows in, and then I'm going to push straight out to the front and then all the way back, trying to keep my elbows in and up. So I should feel this in the back of my arms. Might need to take a small step forward. I should feel tension in the band all the way through this movement. So I'm going to start with just about 10 of these, just to get some blood flowing into the muscle. So this is just my warm-up set. We always try and start with a warm-up of some kind, so you're never going in completely cold to where you're heavy weights, where you're lifting heavy weights or even resistance bands. So you get some acclimation to those muscles, so you're giving your body time to set up and get ready for working out. Now I'm going to do what's called a drag curl. I like this variation of a curl better because I find it gets more of that bicep in that lengthened position. I can feel my bicep working more doing this sort of curl. So what you do is have the band anchored about waist level, and then you're going to step away from the anchor point until you feel the band pulling you backwards away from your body. So you can see how I'm resisted all the way down here. What you're going to do from here is pull towards the front, feeling that lengthened. Now this is the most important part of this, is you want to come all the way back because you're lengthening that bicep into that fully extended position. And that's where you're really building that muscle growth, is in that lengthened position. It doesn't actually take that much weight to do this. Let's see. Adjusted the camera just a little bit today, so I might need to move so you can see me clear. Let me know if you need me to change the view at all to see. Hopefully that's pretty clear. All right, so I can feel tension on this one, but now I'm gonna be going up to a higher weight. Some people like to do a couple sets of warm up, and that's okay. For me, I find that I like to go one warm up set and then then straight into my higher weight set. So I'm switching to the red band. For me, that's the highest band. And I'm going back to that tricep exercise. Now, if you're just joining us, this is gonna be, I'm gonna be working out, doing some arms, showing some things. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Always love to hear questions. If you wanna do this workout with me, that's totally fine too. Or if you just wanna look for tips, or just maybe something that, to add to your own workout, that's fine too. Or if you just wanna chat, that's totally fine. I'm here to help if you guys need anything I can do to help to make this easier, or make it sort of take away any sort of negative feelings about the gym or about working out. That's what I want to do. I want to help people live happy, healthy lives. So stepping to where your hands are behind your head, feel that tension, elbows in, pushing out towards the front. I'm gonna try and aim for about 13 of these usually. On a good day, I can get to 15, but we'll see how that goes. My muscles feel a little more tired today from Monday's workout. Don't think I quite have been sleeping as well, so I'm not as recovered as I would like to be, but I'm still trying to push myself a little bit, even though feel a little more fatigued today. I'm going until I feel that muscle start to give out. Trying to keep my elbows tucked in so my chest doesn't work on this. The more your elbows stay in, the more that tricep is the major contributor of this. Should feel that burning. And that's about it for me on that one. Whew. So now, just work the tricep. I'm gonna switch to the bicep. So these, I like these. If you've heard them called something else, I'd love to hear it. I've heard them called drag curls. I'm not sure, because the drag curl I've heard laying on your back doing these. This one is sort of a weird one, or it's a different thing with a resistance band. Let me know if you have a different name for this. So, keeping your chest up, letting your hands come back to where you feel that resistance all the way back here, and then pulling towards the front. I really like this one because I feel like my bicep really engages in this position, where I can feel that lengthening tension. Oh my gosh. Let me know if you've tried these curls before. I find that they really fatigue the muscle quickly, because you're really lengthening that bicep where it really doesn't have a lot of recovery, or it's always under tension. Now, if you do these, most of these bands come with a door anchor, where if you don't have a post like this, you can just loop it through the door anchor. So most of these sets of bands come with this little piece of fabric with a stopper. So you just put that stopper in a door and close it, and then loop the band through that stopper, and that will get you that same sort of thing if you don't have something like this to anchor the band to. So I really like these. They're called Black Mountain Productions or Black Mountain Products, and they're not a sponsor or an affiliate right now, but I recommend these because they're a good quality band. There's a lot of different products out there, but for me, I really like these. They've lasted a long time and they've got good tension. I've bought some of these before of other brands that I could just tell the tension wasn't there. It doesn't have the same layering inside where the band is just not, it says it was, 25 pounds, but it was not 25 pounds. It was more like 10 pounds. So I personally like these. I think they're a really good solid weight, and would recommend if you need to get a set of them. And they're not that expensive too. I think these, when I got them, were $25. They're probably somewhere around there depending on if they're on sale or not. So that's cheaper than most gyms are, like 30 bucks. So it gets you a lot of different exercises with just one set of bands. So it takes a little bit of knowing how to use them, but you can still get a great workout. It's a great way to start, and hopefully that encourages you guys where it's not this big expensive piece of equipment that's going to get you into doing this. This is an easy way of starting, and I really encourage you to start now. The faster you start, the more you can, the more time you have to build up that strength, build up that muscle mass, build up your bones, because your muscle actually pulls on your bone and helps develop that bone too. So, highly recommend getting a set of bands as if you're just starting out, or if you want to have at home piece of equipment. You can throw it in a bag or travel bag if you ever go traveling and still want to keep your workout going. Great piece of equipment. All right, going back to skull crushers. So, and I don't know who named that. It's just such a harsh name. Can you imagine? It's like, all right, we're gonna do skull crushers today. Like, that's really not a fun thing. If you don't have any background in fitness or in working out, you're like, I would not like to do the skull crusher. Thanks, I like my skull. Actually, one of the reasons I like the resistance band instead of using dumbbells laying on my back doing this exercise is because with the band, I feel like I can get my elbows real tucked in. And with the dumbbells, I've actually bumped into my head as I've done this before, especially as I get tired. So that's one thing I like better about the bands than the dumbbells. That's why even though I have those over here, I still use the resistance bands. I'm only partially stalling because my arms still feel tired after the last set, so I'm giving myself a little bit more rest time. So I'm talking just a little bit more. But let's get back to it. So tucking the elbows in, hands behind the ears or by the ears, where I can feel that tension in the tricep, and then pushing out towards the front. I'm really trying to bend my elbow all the way back and then straighten out towards the front. Oh man. So I like to do between 3 and 5 sets of these, which just means doing this same exercise 3 times. So I go for as many reps as I can, and a rep is just going back and forth like this. So this is 1 rep, 2 reps. So I do as many reps as I need to feel tired, but then I repeat the full exercise at least 3 times, because you get more out of the workout session if you do multiple sets. You will get a little bit out of the first set, you will get some, but you can just increase the amount you build if you do multiple sets. I used to just do 1 set in a workout. And that is okay. You will build a little bit, but if you think about it like investing, if you were to say like, hey, I could put $1 into this and after a year, it would be $1.50. You're like, well, that's great. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. But if you were to say, hey, what if I were to put $3 in, and instead of being $1.50, $3 would give me $5. That's a little bit more. You build up much faster, and honestly, we have only so much time, and your better years are going to be your younger years for building up muscle. It's going to be harder and harder. So the more you invest now, or the more you work and build up that muscle, think of it like an investment. It's going to be that much easier for you the later you go. So like I'm 37, and it's going to be harder for me now than it was in my 20s. I wish I had done a little bit differently in my 20s. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't as ideal to do fewer sets. It's harder now, but it still will be easier for me at 37 than it will be for me later on in life to build up that muscle. So wherever you're at, they've done, whether you're 20 or 80, anywhere in between, still it's gonna give you a benefit. So do that resistance training, build that muscle. They've actually done studies on people in their, I believe in their early 80s, and found that they could double their strength from doing resistance training. Now, that's not a guarantee I'm not saying that's across the board, anything like that, but in that particular study, they found that people increased the amount they could lift by 2x. So that was a pretty cool thing. So even, it's never too late to start. So going into that drag curl, holding tension at the very back. The most important part of this is actually the bottom of the movement. This top part, not as important as going all the way back to where that tension is in the bicep. So I should feel that all the way from my arm to my shoulder. I feel a little bit different in my right versus my left, so I'm just going to adjust my position just a little bit. I want both sides to feel even. That is something with the bands, is you have to make sure that it's pulling even on both sides. Now something important too, the bicep actually attaches up at the shoulder. So you don't want to collapse the shoulder down or lean forward. Try and lean back as you're doing this. And that will create that length in the bicep where you're really building that muscle. So muscles actually build when they're lengthened more than when they're shortened. So you want to fully lengthen that muscle out by keeping your chest up. Feel that tension all the way to the bottom and then pulling up. And going, I'm not really keeping track of my reps, how many I'm doing, because it's hard to talk and do that at the same time, but I'm more going off of fatigue and just feeling, you can see I'm slowing down as I'm getting fatigued too. So I'm just going to where I feel that fatigue burning in the muscle. I give myself just a minute. So that was set number 2. So we're starting a lot with the arms today. I like to target the arms in my workout week. What I typically do is I have Monday, I do a full body exercise, which just means I'm doing muscles in my upper body, muscles in my lower body, trying to get a little bit of everything with what are called compound exercises, where I'm doing a lot of muscles all at once. So I'm doing, you know, pull-ups and bench press and things like that, where it's targeting a lot of muscles at once, doing squats for my legs. Then while I'm recovering from that, the biceps and triceps recover very quickly because they're smaller muscles than the chest and big pieces of muscle. So on Wednesdays, well, those are recovered. The other muscles are still healing, but these are recovered, so I can target those a little bit easier. So I do arms and shoulders, and then on Friday, back to full body. Whew. And get a drink of water. Now, that's just what works for me. What works for you might be a little bit different, but hopefully you can take some of what you see here and apply it to your workout if that's what you want to do. What I like to do is take pieces and parts of the exercises I like and then say, does that work for me? Do I feel that in the muscle? Like, I actually, the drag curl, I saw that from a couple other people on YouTube and tried it, really liked how it felt. I've done curls like this where I've been in a standing position, and it just always felt like my forearms got burnt out and my biceps never really felt it, where my arms didn't have that full sleeve feeling. And so instead of doing biceps like this, where you can see I'm even after just doing a bicep exercise, I can do these. They're not that hard. And I just never felt like I was getting the muscle effectively, as opposed to doing a drag curl. That's where I really felt the difference in that. So I'd encourage you to try out the exercise, say, where do you actually feel that soreness? Because for some people, some exercises will be more effective, and that's why it's important to try some things, play around with it, see what works, what's comfortable. And by comfortable, I mean where it doesn't hurt your joints, but you feel a good burn in the muscles. Exercise is a little bit uncomfortable, and that's okay, but we don't want it to be painful, painful, especially in the joints. That's not what we're going for. So don't do an exercise that hurts your joints, because usually that's an indicator something's wrong as opposed to right. But we can do it where you feel it burning in that muscle where you're fatiguing, and that's what you do want to feel. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time to know the difference. I would start cautious, because you can always go more intense as you go, but if you go too intense and have an injury, then that sets you back more. So I would go on the side of caution and then ease into those heavier weights. I think a lot of people start out their fitness journey going too intense. They think, oh man, I'm out of shape, I'm not where I want to be, let me start intense, and then they end up burning out because it hurts, or it doesn't feel good, or it's really hard. And so they do it once and they never go back. And I would rather you take it a little bit lighter and come back, because that's where you really build that strength, is that day in, week after week, slowly building it up. Because the body doesn't just do one workout and say, all right, we're good for 2 months now. It takes a little bit every time to slowly build that up, and that's okay. All right, so going back to that tricep, just adjusting the band to make sure it's even between my two hands. So pulling the elbows in and then pushing out to the front. Some people think like, oh man, if I wanted to lose 10 pounds, if I just run a marathon every day, I'll be able to lose that in just a couple weeks. Which on paper, the math might work out that way, but that's just not how your body physiologically works. That stress is just too intense on your body to be able to do all at once. So it's better to go at a more moderate pace, especially starting out. Start at a very moderate pace and then slowly speed up. Don't just hit the ground running, because that's a good way to trip and fall, as opposed to start by walking, then start jogging, then start sprinting after that. Slowly build up that pace to where you know what your body can handle. All right, and that's as far as I go on that one. So if you have any questions for me, let me know in the chat. Or if you just want to talk about anything at all, workout related, let me know what you guys are working on. It's nice on these, because it's a smaller muscle, I tend to not get it's not as physiologically taxing. It's not working my cardio nearly as hard. Normally, when I'm doing legs, I'm up at the 145, 160. It's a lot warmer. Right now, I'm only at about 115, which is moderate, but not that high of a heart rate. It's a little elevated, but I know some people, it's a little uncomfortable to go to the gym and feel like, oh, I'm really red, I'm really sweating. That's one thing I really like about the resistance bands, is you can do them at home. You can do them in a very small area because they're really collapsible. They're a lot safer to do. They're not completely safe. Nothing is completely safe. Nothing, especially exercise, can still have injuries, still things can happen, but it's not like a weight or a barbell where if you drop it on yourself, it's a really heavy thing that hits you. These, if I was to drop them, it just clanks, all the tension goes away. And usually, since it's pulling away from you, they snap back away from you. They might still be dangerous, but not nearly as much. So going for set number 3, doing a drag curl. So I'm bringing my hands all the way back, chest up, pulling up to the front. And from the studies I've read, there was a meta-analysis on resistance bands and found that they were equivalent to free weights or other more conventional exercises. So you can still build strength, you can still build muscle. You might find that you prefer resistance bands on certain exercises, or you might want to do a mix of the two. And that's totally fine too. But I like these because they're an easy way to start. They're not that expensive for what you get, and it gives you a lot of options to be able to start into your fitness journey. Some exercises are a lot easier with the bands, like I was saying, those skull crushers. For the tricep, I don't hit myself in the head with the dumbbell when I get tired. So that, I think, is a really big benefit of having the resistance bands. Some exercises are a little more complicated with the resistance bands, like squats. I tend to not do squats with resistance bands. Even though you can, I just find it doesn't work quite as well for that particular exercise. But you can definitely try it, find which ones work well for you. Oh man. I find some exercises, like one we're going to be doing in just a minute, for the deltoid muscle, this muscle runs right across the top of your shoulder. There's a couple exercises that work so much better with a resistance band or cable. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Right now I'm on set 3. I think I'm gonna get 4 sets in today for the arms. I can feel the muscle is filled up with liquid right now. That's a good sign that I'm targeting that muscle. I'm getting that feeling of that, some people call it the pump, where your muscle, you can feel it swelling with liquid. So I think I have a little bit more to go. I can still contract the muscle, I can still move it, but it's pretty tough. I feel like I have most of the muscle used up because it's getting harder and harder as I go on these. Excuse me. So I like to do bicep and tricep, and then 2 deltoid exercises, because you actually have 3 parts of the deltoid. You've got anterior deltoid or front deltoid, a middle deltoid, and then a posterior deltoid. So the first exercise I do for the front 2 pieces, and then one for the back piece, along with some of the rotator cuff muscles in the back. So I'm gonna do 4 sets of these. We'll have to see how many sets I do in deltoid. I would aim for for somewhere between 3 and 5 sets. So you'd pick an exercise. I usually like to do 4 to 5 exercises. So you pick a set of exercises and go through them 3 to 5 times. So that'd be, like, let's say the exercise I'm doing here, skull crushers. That'd be, doing 1 set of these, and then 1 set of the drag curls, and that's 1 set. And then 2 sets, set 2, and then set 3. And that would be a minimum number. So you can do 1, but honestly, you get so much more value out of, so much more muscle building out of doing multiple sets. I really encourage you to do multiple sets, even though it's a bit more time consuming. If you can work it into your schedule, 45 minutes to an hour, 3 times a week. I think right now I'm at 39 minutes because I'm going a little slow because I'm talking. I should get going here because I still have another set of exercises to do. I want to try and keep this to an hour or under. So doing skull crushers next. So the next exercises, I'm going to do a little bit less chatting. Stepping a little further out so I get that tension all the way to the back. That's the biggest mistake I could see with the bands, is you want to go to where you have tension all the way at the length and position of the movement. If you can't get all the way out full lockout, that's okay, but you do need to get all the way, tension all the way to the back. Because that's where you're building that muscle. Oh man. And that's it. All right. This is our last set doing drag curls. Now it's important to, even on the last set, you want to try and really be thinking about it. It's easy for it to just be phoned in the further you go. You really want to think about, am I feeling tension in that muscle? And maintaining that tension feeling, because this is where it's the easiest to lose focus and to just not have a valuable exercise on these later sets. I I think that's one of the reasons why you get the most benefit early is from really focusing in on that set, on that feeling. And then as you go, fatigue sets in and makes it harder and harder to keep on gaining. So I wouldn't say, oh, you have to spend hours and hours in the gym, because really the value of that goes down the longer you've been at the gym, because your body just can't keep on going neurologically even. So it's good to get in, get going, and then when you're fatigued, then being done. All right, so I'm gonna switch to a mid band in this one for the deltoid, because we're gonna do what are called lateral raises. And trust me, if you've never done these, they go for a lighter weight than you think. So what I'm gonna do with this is step right in the middle of the band with both feet. I'm gonna try and get the band about even on both sides. And then I'm going to cross my hands to make an X in front of me. That's gonna pull at a diagonal. And I have to switch this back. So that's gonna pull at a diagonal, which is important for this exercise. So it's pulling across my body. So my hands actually pull in to the middle. So from here, staying straight and tall, I'm gonna lift up into a V shape, and my hands are actually coming slightly forward. So that gets that front part of the deltoid and that middle part of the deltoid. Whew. So pulling up and then back. Now I'm trying to not bring my shoulders up as I'm doing these. Trying to just lift up my hands. My shoulders come up slightly as I do it, but as much as I can, I'm trying to get that ball of muscle around my shoulder to work. The traps, these muscles up here on the top of the shoulder, can take over if the shoulders elevate. So I'm trying to not let them do that. That's all I can do for that today. That is a lot more tired. All right, the next thing is for the back of the shoulder. And trust me, you're gonna wanna go a light band on this. It is a very challenging exercise. So this is called a face pull, or a W is the other name I've heard for this. Let me know if you guys have heard a different name. So for this, what I'm doing is I'm creating tension in the band here. So I should feel it pulling me forward a little bit. And I'm bringing my hands back past my head. So I want to pull backwards and pass towards my ear. Imagine like you're scooping ice cream and throwing it behind you. So it's about as close as I can get to being in the camera, while still maintaining the form on this one. Just pulling up and back, or back and up, I should say. Just feel that in the back of your shoulder and some between your shoulder blades. This one's a great rotator cuff exercise too. Works those stabilizing muscles in your shoulder. Oh. And it's deceptively difficult. It might look like, oh, that's such a small movement, it shouldn't be that hard, but it's deceptively challenging to do correctly. This is a great one if you have shoulder clicking, or you feel like your shoulder sort of pops. You can work on that that rotator cuff, which those are the muscles that pull that shoulder blade or pull on that ball and socket, pulling that ball into the shoulder blade so that it stays secure so it doesn't pop or shift around as much in that socket. All right. I'm definitely getting tired. Look down like, what was, how am I attaching these? You get to this point in the exercise and it's really cognitively fatiguing. It fatigues your mind to work out. It's kind of a funny thing. You don't think of working out being a very mental thing, but it actually does tax your brain. It makes it harder to think clearly, and really being focused on what you're doing in those exercises, it's neurologically fatiguing. So staying straight and tall, arms crossed or band crossed, and pulling up into the front. Trying to keep your thumbs pointed towards the front as you do this too. That gets more of that middle deltoid. And there's a lot to focus on in this exercise. And that's one of the reasons why it is mentally fatiguing. 2 more. Last one. Ah, I'm shaking as I'm doing that last one. So hopefully this has been helpful, seeing something you might want to incorporate into your workout, or just seeing that, you know, it is not that difficult. It's not that weird. Some of these, if you look at this and be like, sure, I can do that. That's awesome. I really would encourage you to start then. Like, I want to see more people doing resistance training, building up that muscle, living happy, healthy lives, being able to do what they want to through their whole life. All right, doing that face pull. Wish there was a way I could do this a little bit clearer. It's just, without turning my back to this, it's like that, pulling back. But I just don't have the room over here to show that. So pardon me, I'm just gonna be turning a little bit away from camera. So I'm pinching my shoulder blades together as I pull back with my hands, trying to work those stabilizing muscles of the shoulder blade, what are called external rotators of the shoulder, which are primarily the rotator cuff muscles. They're small muscles in the back of your shoulder. Ah, that burns. I can very much feel that burning in the back of my shoulder blades. So it's really good for the mechanics of your shoulder. It also is good for your posture because it pulls that chest up and back. So it gives you a more upright posture, so you're not slouched forward. Helps strengthen these muscles that pull back. And that can help your neck, can be good for your spine. Thinking about how to say this. So it's not that those muscles are always engaged, but I find it helps open up that chest, and it might stretch some of these muscles in here to where you do stand up a little bit straighter. So it's unclear if that would 100% or if that would influence posture, but it at the very least can't hurt posture. So I really like it for training that neurological position of that upright posture. So we're just about done. This is going to be the last set of exercises. So we'll keep this under an hour. So if anyone is looking at their schedule and saying, Joe, I could fit an hour in, that's great. I would really encourage you to find, an hour or two per week, even to start out, even just an hour per week. You're gonna get more benefit than if you didn't do anything. So you're still gonna see benefit even from going just an hour a week. It's just about starting. The hardest part is starting. Whew, speaking of, all right, here we go. Lifting up to the side. Wow, I need to change my position. That's a little more tight on one side. It's always the hard part about this is getting it even. There we go. So once you get going and get that routine, maybe you pick one day a week and one day on the weekend that you could do an hour workout. Hardest part is starting, and it's the once you get into it, you know what your body can do. Oh, that last rep. And then you know how sore you're going to be, so you can sort of prepare for it mentally. Or you can say, John, I was a little too sore last time. Let me back off just a little bit, where you can calibrate it for yourself because you know what your body can handle. And as you get more and more used to it, you can then push yourself. Sorry, that was a little loud. You can push yourself into doing a little bit harder each time, or a little harder, let's say every week. Where let's say 1 week you did 10 reps, you can say, hey, I want to try for 11 today. Or maybe you did using a lighter band for a month, and then the next month you can say, I'm going to try and do this with a little bit heavier of a band, see what that's going to do, if I can handle that now. So as you get stronger, you're progressively pushing yourself a little bit further each time, or a little bit further over time, I should say, not each time, because your body needs time to adapt. So I would do, at the very fastest, you could make it a little bit harder after a week, but that's still pretty quick. If you need to, give yourself a couple weeks. And then try and bump it up a little bit and see how that goes. For now though, that is the arms and shoulder exercise. That's my workout for today. I'm pretty tired. So if you just joined, thank you for being here. Or if you've returned back, thanks for coming back. Hopefully this has made it a little bit easier for you guys in your workouts. Maybe some ideas, maybe just being a little more comfortable with the idea of working out and starting when you're not perfect. Because I'm not perfect either. I'm definitely not. And that's the thing, is none of us are. Everyone has things that they're working on, they're working through. And so I just encourage you to start, even if you're not perfect. If you wait till you're perfect, you'll never start. So let's go ahead and start together. So if you need to, get a set of resistance bands. I like the Black Mountain products. They're a really good starter resistance band. They're very high quality, and they don't pay me to say that. This is purely just the one I buy. That's what I recommend to my clients. I bought this with my own money. So If you need a place to start, I definitely go with them, and hope to see you guys next time. I will see you on hopefully Friday. So take care, guys. Have a good day.